All right. Uh, I wasn't really gonna make one of these for FBL, but I got bored and my other league ended yesterday, so I was like, whatever, I'll just do it. Fun, because I like yapping. You know the vibe. But yeah, I'm just gonna run through. I'm gonna speedrun my first 3 weeks of prep. I don't know, kind of get me back in the mindset. And yeah, I'm just gonna jump right into it. So this is my week 1 matchup. I think I looked pretty good on paper here. A couple notable points. Darkrai, obviously fantastic speed tier here. And pretty good coverage combined with Ice Beam. Dark, obviously fantastic here, along with that Sludge Bomb. You hit literally everything. Some concerns, it doesn't hit Arcanine very hard. I mean, it does. It hits him for like 60, which is a lot, don't get me wrong, but Arcanine's threatening in that fat Oko, so something to think about there. I definitely suspected Scarf on Arcanine, so that was pretty something to keep in mind. Terror Necrozma was just something I was afraid of in general. Could be Meat Eater Beam, could be like Agility Weakness Policy. Could be, I mean, there's a lot of things it could be. A pretty scary mon, especially, you know, in draft like this. So I wanted to have sort of a catch-all thing for it. Some other things to note: Ogerpon does 1,000,000 billion damage every time it's in. Hydrapple, Terra Hydrapple is a bitch and can be pretty annoying. So let's get into my team for this week. No, this is week 2. Week 1, Kablamo. I brought Sub. Darkrai's a mon that forces a lot of switches, so obviously Sub's going to be great there. Lefties, Sub. And then I have that triple coverage here. I could go Plot, but I didn't really see myself getting... I mean, I guess you could argue that the Sub turn could be like a Plot turn, but Sub's just a lot safer, especially when I'm likely to be faster than everything, except for like a Scarfer. For example, like plotting on the Arcanine switch is way worse than subbing on the Arcanine switch. Raichu is here. It hits Grace because, again, its speed tier is nice. If we look back on the speed tiers, outspeeds almost everything, just ties with this fastest. Has pretty decent coverage, can nuzzle a pretty offensive team, and Great Tusk gets Grass Knot for a lot of damage. And the main reason it's here, again, is because Necrozma is scary. So I wanted to be like a little sash goober, to have a little bit of insurance against a scary sweeper like Necrozma, just so I don't get messed up. And obviously, I thought, here are my thoughts on the matchup. Everything threatens Great Tusk pretty well here. And that's his main rock setter. I did not think Arcanine was going to be rocks going into this week. So that was my read. So knowing that, I was pretty confident I'd keep rocks off the field with Mandibuzz just by constantly threatening Great Tusk and putting him under a lot of pressure, which means I could abuse this offensive team with things like Sash. This is wrong, by the way. I was Sash Darkrai, I think. Oh, yeah. I remember now. I did go Plot. I went Focus Sash Plot in the end. I changed this last second. But I'm a little donkey dog. Unfortunately, that almost happened, just to be clear. But, it almost happened, but because I made one crucial mistake, I put Choppleberry here. I thought I had Custat Berry on here. And if that happened, I would have killed Great Tusk without proccing all my sashes, and yeah, I mean, if you watch that match, it was a tragedy. If I had Custat Berry instead of Choppleberry there, I think that match would have gone a lot better. Great Tusk wouldn't have killed a million things. I still would have a Focus Sash intact, and I think I would have won that game, especially because my last is Scarf Tentacruel, something positioned really well into Arcanine. Water coverage is generally pretty good, especially because Primarina isn't super likely to switch in, at least the first time. And even though it doesn't do much damage because it's Tentacruel, it's able to pick up the Oko on something like Arcanine. Obviously, just does a fat stack of damage to that 4x, and also does some decent chip to Great Tusk. So Again, a lot of anti-offense tools this week. Some sloppy prep by me. And some bad mistakes. Just meant I took the L week 1, unfortunately. But hey, it is what it is. Alright, let's go on to week 2 here. We have this matchup here. Urshifu's not showing up for whatever reason. But the speed tier is obviously a lot worse for us this week. Couple things going into this week was that Terra Gliscor was something that really scared me, as well as Manaphy. I think Manaphy is like... there are a couple things I could do with against Manaphy. One of the things I wanted to do was yawn it with Sylveon, and then go into my Darkrai and psych up, and then haze the boosts away. So I would steal the boosts from Manaphy, and then take them away. I did not end up going with that set, because I'm a coward, I guess. Maybe one day the Psych Up Haze Darkrai will come out. He didn't even end up bringing Manaphy, so that was a good call on my part. Urshifu single is here, which means Mandibuzz is always coming and is always going to be Fizz Def. Straight up Rocky Helmet in the club. This guy is pretty good at setting up rocks, especially with that Gliscor and that Scream Tail. But did I have boots on my Mandibuzz? No, I was a straight up helmet. Wow, I put a lot of faith in this Tentacruel. Probably too much faith. Many would probably say, me included, probably a little too much faith in this Tentacruel to pick up the spin. But hey, it worked out. Rocky Helmet Mandibuzz, pick up some chip on that Urshifu, otherwise a pretty hard mon to pin down. But for one, again, I was really worried about that Gliscor, so my answer to that was Big Mence making his debut. This set right here is specifically designed to take on that Gliscor. Terra Ground is for... Why was I Terra Ground? Man, it's been a minute since I've made this. Terra Ground was just for Aleki, I guess. Just so I could Terra in front of Aleki. And it's just a decent neutral typing, especially since I'm like... I want to Terra out of flying type since I'm lefties. But yeah, the whole idea of it is I'm probably going to be faster than Gliscor. This speed tier doesn't go up to max Gliscor, even though he is faster than... his speed set is higher than Gliscor. What it goes up to is a Gliscor trying to speed creep my Gholdengo. That was realistically the most speed that I thought would go into that Gliscor. So my Salamence was built to match that and smack it back with a Hydro Pump. And Ironhead was a nice little neutral flick on the side. Also hits Weezing. Yeah, and then I sub in front of Weezing to block Willow and sub in front of Gliscor to block Toxic was the idea here. Ended up working pretty well. Some lucky flinches with Ironhead, which was not something I accounted for, but hey, you'll take it sometimes, you know? Other things on this team, Big Quag was here. Again, Manaphy is scary. Rindoberry for that energy ball. Also helps a little bit against that Arboliva. And... oh yeah, for SD Gliscor also. Was another thing that was a little spooky. Again, since his speed tiers are pretty good, I went with a Scarf Gholdengo. It's able to trick some things, like his Scream Tail and his Weezing. I guess it wouldn't be... Whoa, was I tricked? Fucking nothing. Why did I even bring Trick? Nothing I want to trick is switching into this. I may be stupid! Oops. But yeah, I mean, Scarf Dango. I don't know. Pretty defensive Scarf Dango. Dude, what was I cooking? Dude, I suck. What am I doing here? Be so honest. Like every week, once Big Jogerpon comes in, he's able to clean up pretty well. Nothing really wants to step up to him, especially if it's like Levitate Bronzong. But like, yeah, Fire is like insane press here. Only single fire resist here. So we're not counting Typhlosion. I'm sorry, Typhlosion. You're not coming. You're not coming this week. Alright? Is Dragapult. Obviously does not want to eat a knockoff. So like, I can just go Trailblaze, and I get an SD Trailblaze off, I win the game. If it's a cleanup scenario, if I just get a Trailblaze off, I win the game. Yeah, I just need to make sure rocks are gone for this little guy. That's pretty much the game plan whenever you have this Jogerpon mon, to be honest. Things went pretty well for me this week. Picked up the dub, went up to 1-1 for the season. Love to see it. Moving on to our third and final week, we have this lovely matchup here. Some notable things. I was really scared of Galarian Moltres. In particular, a Terra Steel or a Terra Poison set to take on my Sylveon here. Obviously, that double dance is very scary, especially for a team that cannot really handle it, because again, one of the only things that could be able to tank it is that Sylveon here. But one other guy who can have the potential to take on this big scary bird is Big Quag. Here he is. I thought Terra Steel or Terra Poison were pretty likely, which means he can't be toxic, but it does mean he's able to be EQ'd for a lot of damage. Toxic is here to take on any like non-poison or steel types, type Terras from that Moltres. And Cloak is here because I don't want to get flinched and instantly lose the game. That would kind of suck, wouldn't it? It would. It would. And of course, Spikes are here. I have a pretty defensive Goldango, so I was pretty confident I'd be able to keep Spikes up. And they hit a lot of their team, so that's pretty chill. Especially things like that Garachi and that Gouge, if they are not rocking those sweet, sweet shoes. Some other things to note: Jogerpon. Pretty scary with Terra. I do have a 4x grass resist, which is pretty good, and also he gets pretty gapped by my own Ogrepon. He's not really able to hit him back, and obviously Ivy Cudgel is picking up the Oko onto mono grass pawn every single time without fail, so that was going to be pretty good for me here. Goldango's coverage in general is pretty good here, but he's also able to spread status and enable my big sweeper, which is going to be that Mence, because Terra Flying Mence has a fantastic matchup here. Picks up a lot of damage on a Sandy Shocks. I think it might Oko after one boost. But if he speed boost, I need 2 boosts to outspeed him. With that Earthquake, obviously, didn't mention that. Earthquake plus Terra Flying Terra Blast shits on this whole team. So, yeah. With that in mind, that of course was my Mence set going into the week. The game plan was to set up for this guy, and he just comes in and kills everything. I got mementoed, or it would have happened a little earlier, but even in the end, he just comes in, and since Goldango paralyzed the whole team for him, he just comes in and clicks Terra Blast. He wins, and that's pretty much that. Mandatory hazard removal, because I have a Jokerpon Fire on my team. This Vaughn is annoying to build with, but it's all good. I chose to drop it, and I can drop it anytime I want, but he puts in work. Speaking of Jogerpon, he has this Leech Seed Spiky Shield set because it's pretty much the only thing that does decent damage to Gouge, and I didn't want to run Stomping Tantrum. That move sucks. I'd rather just seed it up. And you know, Spiky Shield picks up some nice chip if he's like a band set or something of the sorts. Lastly, Rhyperior's here to get up them rocks. Megahorn picks up some clean damage onto Big Jogerpon, and with that Rindo Berry, he only takes like 20 or 30 from Cudge, which is insane. Insane work. And obviously, like we were already talking about, EQ, fantastic coverage, along with that Rock Slide to hit Moltres in case it gets out of hand. Yeah. Pretty spadef. Again, because Moltres was scary. Wow, I have a lot of speed in this. 310. Oh, that's for Gouge. Right? Oh, and it's also faster than Moltres. Yeah, okay. Haze to potentially get rid of any nasty plots on that Moltres. And obviously it won't be getting rid of a Dragon Dance, but hey. It's mostly for that Moltres, and I figured I might as well go a little more speed in just to hit the Gouging Fire speed tier while I'm up here. Because why not? And that's that. That's Big Cruel. Shout out Big Cruel. Went pretty according to plan. Gholdengo is a beast. And now we're currently 2-1 on the season. So, hey, that's that. Maybe I'll probably make more of these week by week from now on. And maybe I'll go over the game or whatever. I don't know. I'll play it by ear. Fuck it, you know? You know the vibes. Oh yeah.